Alright guys, welcome to another Cash Game review session. Again, one of Chris the Fish. This time we had Chris live on a Discord call whilst we were streaming on Monday just gone, so we got to actually hear his opinion on what he thought of the hand during it. So guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And don't forget guys, we stream these live on Monday at 6 o'clock UK time, so don't forget to go follow on Twitch. Right, Jack 8 we open and c-bet flop. I think that's pretty fine, really. Could maybe go a bigger size, maybe go bigger on this board just because you have advantage. But I think in these pools in general, just you can go small with pretty much entire range. Like just betting a third's gonna be fine.
Just 33% is shitloads.
Yeah, I think I like betting the turn. There's a lot to protect from. The good thing here as well is against most of even your regs, they're just not gonna have enough check raises. So like, even though there's two flush draws out there, so if I've got, let's say, something like 9-7 of spades that I decided to flop, in fact, I'm check raising that on the flop, but let's say, for example, I had something like that, and then I picked up this equity on the turn, I would always be check raising it. Or if I have a 6 in my hand with a flush draw, let's say a6 of spades, there's a good example, where I'm blocking, you know, two straight, I'm just always going to check raise this, even against a big size. I think most of your regs and fun players and just general players at 25 Zoom aren't going to be doing this enough. But so it's a pretty good card for him in general, but like I think this just works really well. You can get called by worse here. You know, you can get called by flush draws, loads to protect from and get value from. And just like I say, against the general population, they're just not going to be check raising. So I think I like going for this.
Oh, this gives me quite an easy river check as well. Yeah, like I don't think it's a 3 streets hand, so
for sure. I'd only be betting on an 8 or a jack. And on this river, I think we just have a pretty easy check. Alright, 9-10 suited, open. I think c-betting here is fine. I don't mind check raising, which I feel as though you might go for.
I've been check raised against cold callers so much.
And here we go, like, he's got 9-10 of spades. If you're going to just float on that flop, which I think's okay, I prefer a check raise. But then check raise the turn. Like, what are you doing versus check raise? I assume against him, you just always fold him, right?
But if against on the left screen?
Yeah, if you get check raise with the jack 8.
Yeah, it's just always value, right?
Exactly, so... And that's the point, like, these people, I know I say don't make ridiculous assumptions that, you know, you're never going to get check raise bluff, but, you know, just against tighter players, especially if you have, you know, stats on him, and still, it's, yeah, I just like that play. And again, he's got 9-10 suited, which could just check raise the turn and get you to fold this kind of hand. And when you do call in position, if you do have an 8, let's say a better 8, ace 8, you've still got 2 overs and a flush draw. So he should just be, you know, if you're going to get to that turn with just 10 high, why not, you know, raise it up. And I like this check raise. I like the board that you're doing it on. He's gonna have some bet. I think I prefer just c-betting, to be honest. But the only thing I don't like about it is the size when he has this stack. If he's got a full stack, I definitely prefer it. I do like maybe go a little bit smaller.
Thinking with the check raises versus cold callers is that if I do just c-bet, I'm gonna fold all of his junk. But if I check raise, he might stab and then fold all of his junk.
I get you. Okay, I get that. I do think when you do c-bet as well, they will have some floats. I think that, you know, let's say he just has something like ace jack off. He might just stab that and then fold, whereas if you bet, he might call, and then, you know, he's calling with the best hand. Again, you're making the pot pretty bigger, so when he calls, turn's going to be like, the SPR is going to be less than 2. So if you pick up good equity, you know, you're in kind of a weird spot where you don't know whether to
smash it in there, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I know you just smash it in, but like, but the board's okay. So at least you know, I've seen some hands where you've check raised and it's just been a little bit loose. I think this is okay just because we have all backdoor potential. So yeah, again, I like the fact that you're a lot more aggressive than you used to be. I wouldn't say this is necessarily misplaced. I think it's a bit aggressive, but honestly, I think it's working. I really do think it's working. And now let me guess, he's going to jam it in.
About being like too aggressive or not aggressive enough, I'd rather be too aggressive.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because I think it's just going to work against your general opponent. So I think that's fine. So you're just going to bang it in on this turn, I would imagine.
Yeah, this guy can get in the bin.
Which I think's fine. You're going to get like, I don't know, 8s and 9s might fold, 6s, some random 5x. He does have some 7x though. But the thing is, we just have equity here, so I think I'm okay with jamming it in. But this is why I'd like to see a smaller check raise size, or just not check raising versus half stack. So if he had a full stack, I'd definitely like the check raise and continue on the turn for a large bet. So as played with the relatively large size on the flop, I don't mind the jam, even though the 7's kind of shit. But you just snap fold, so easy game. All right, on the left-hand table, ace nine, we flop top. We see a pretty grim turn. So are you always checking here, like on the left with the ace nine on the 3 of clubs turn, or are you gonna bet that
Not
sometimes?
always. I mean, versus the small blind, this guy isn't necessarily like strong. He doesn't always have ace five clubs or whatever. I would consider betting small again to give me the option check back on the river.
Yeah.
But I guess like checking as well, it also gives him the option to bluff river, so it works both ways, right?
I get that, yeah. I think I prefer betting with ace nine and then checking with maybe some overpairs. I know that sounds daft. We do need more protection with this hand. Again, this is similar to that spot with whatever the other hand was, where we had the the jack eight of diamonds. It's similar in the way that you can still get some worse hands to call, sorry. And you're protecting your hand, and it gives you an opportunity to buy the river. And again, because not enough people are check raising here as bluffs. So let's say he's just got a random king queen with a king of clubs. I don't think that these fun players, because green's fun player tag, right, or assumed fun player.
That's correct.
So I don't think he's going to be check raising those random Broadway hands. So we get to protect, but also potentially get value as well. So if he does have king queen with the queen of clubs, he's probably going to check call the turn, and he's probably not doing a lot of check raising as bluffs, meaning that we can. I would bet here a lot of the time against fun players like 2/3 pot. Again with the intention of checking back river. Obviously, I do think checking back is okay, but like I say, if you're checking back a hand like aces, there's not really that many bad rivers. Whereas when you check back ace nine, a 10 jack queen king are all relatively bad rivers. So I think that this can definitely work as a bet sometimes. Obviously, I don't hate the check. I think it's fine. And then we have size dependent. We have a pretty easy call on the river versus a bet, and it does allow him to bluff off just random shit like 10 jack or something, or whatever.
Or 25 zoom. It's never a bluff.
I mean that's standard. He's an idiot for going that size as well. Like I'm calling, I'll be sighing against a pot size bet, but I'm calling a lot more than a third there. 9-10 easy defend, aces obviously an easy 3-bet. So the size here 9 big blinds, is that just because it's 2.2x? Like what kind of sizing are we going?
Yeah, I'm just like 4x out of position.
Yeah, about 4x. Yeah. So I'd probably just make this 10. But again, 9's fine. I think you could probably make everything 9. I think that people will probably overfold, even in position. So I think we could probably...
Versus 2.5, I go 11, and then 12 in the big blind.
I think it's fine. I don't think it's going to make too much... Lovely.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I'd like to see what you're going to do here. Just smash it in. Absolutely just smash it in. No, don't call. Just smash it in. So the reason being, I do like to have some calls here, because... But in fact, no, I don't. Calling's obviously beneficial here in that we just keep any random bluffs in. The thing is, though, when somebody makes it this size, there's no way they're folding. And when they have a hand like ace-king, you might not get the rest of it. I can understand why you'd call.
Okay.
And again, this is a horrible flop. Like, this is the worst flop.
Right.
Other than, like, I don't know, 10 jack queen, that's probably going to be the worst flop. But this is just horrible in that, when he does have a random jacks, 10s, kings, queens... You just might not get it all now, and there was no way he was folding to a shove.
Considering, I guess you could make an argument for like balance, like sometimes you've got a flat, but also like as we just said at this pool, they're not paying attention.
Agreed, but what are you going to flat here, and why?
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty polarized in the small blind, so it's probably just a lot of jam or fold situations
against that size, because they're not giving you a good price to like flat with jacks or like ace queen suited, and like try and realize your equity and you're out of position. Because obviously when you call, the SPR's 1. So literally just a pot size bet. So I'd just be folding or shoving here, and I'd be shoving aces, kings, queens, probably folding jacks, to be honest. I reckon he's probably got ace king anyway. Here we're just going to flatten out. I mean, you could make an argument for shoving on the flop. And again, on this kind of board, it now gets a bit weird. Like, it doesn't really make a difference, but I'm probably just calling. Do you know what? I bet he shows up with like fucking 7-8 offsuit, and I look like an idiot here, and you look like an absolute king. So queens would be nice, yeah. 4-5 suited would be nice. That'd be funny. Snapchat back, and then we just what? Just put him in. It's half a pot size bet. Don't do anything random. And snap by his king. Yeah. So all right, easy life. But imagine you don't flop the case ace, like an absolute fucking sun runner. Then you just potentially missed out on value. This is a very easy tell in a lot of players. This ridiculous sizing that is ace king. I have seen some people do it with aces. I've actually seen people open shove with only aces in 100 NL. Like ridiculous. Like they just won't play a hand. When they have like a strong hand, they'll just jam it in. But against your average opponent, I would say that when they do something like this, it's a lot of the time ace king. Even Betterlap, who, you know, he's a relatively new player, but he's relatively solid. But he was just making, I think he 4-bet, and he made it, you know, probably a 3x 4-bet in position, which was just well too big. So this is just like an easy tell. And you've got lucky there. Like this, you've effectively played this badly because once they made it that size, they're not going to fold. And when they have ace king, you can have boards where they're not going to put the rest of it in. So the 10-7 suited, I'm okay with defending 3-way there. I think it's got enough playability versus the smallest raise. Obviously, we're 3-betting the ace king versus a not full stack. So I think going 7 big blinds fine.
Okay, 4-bet.
Okay, cold 4-bet, don't really have any hands on them. I think doing either is fine, either calling or sticking it in here. I'm probably just calling here. Ranges tend to lean toward jamming with ace-king suited because it has more equity, but I tend to lean to flatting it because it has more playability. I think that this is definitely going to be bottom of range here. Obviously, we never jam in ace-queen. I'd never be jamming jacks here either. Probably peeling jacks and not even being thrilled about it, but I think jamming's fine. I can't really see a world where he ever folds. So I think we're looking at queens, kings, aces, and ace-king.
My thinking there is like post-flop. Like pre-flop, I've got against, like, if it's not cool that I've got 45%. If I flat against, say, like jacks or queens or something, I'm going to be in loads of flop situations where I either have to check fold flop or not get any value when an ace or a king comes.
Yeah, I get that. He probably doesn't have that many, you know, cold 4-bet bluffs anyway. So I think at these stakes, you know, flatting might be good for me if I'm against an aggressive reg at 100 because it'll keep in that ace-5 suited. It'll keep in that ace-queen, ace-jack suited. Anyway, let's get back to Chris being a fish. This guy being an absolute whale. I think we want to raise here with the ace-jack. No, I think we want to raise. Like, what hands do they have that beat you here? We have, even against, like, I'd say worst case, well, obviously worst case scenario is like queen-jack, but obviously we block that. I'd say generally your worst case scenario here is going to be against ace-10 or king-10. And you just have really good equity against that. There's so many turn cards that just change the dynamic here. Obviously a heart, a jack, a queen, even a king, because you can have king X, even a 10, stuff like that. So, I mean, why are we not raising? Like, are you worried that you don't have the best hand, or do you just want to, you know, play a turn in position? What's the deal?
Pretty much. I mean, like, this guy Donkey, I can see him being, like, weighted towards draws and, like, shit aces, but when the other guy flats 3 ways, I feel like I don't have that much equity, and I'd rather flat and see a turn rather than start piling money in.
You know, I can get behind it, but I would just generally raise here, and then I can raise, get it in against him, and not worry. You can just have ace-5 of hearts, ace-4 of hearts. Again, I think the worst case scenario generally is you're probably going to see ace-10 possibly, or king-10, and we just have reasonable equity against that. But I don't hate flatting, and we're just letting them, you know, realize their equity. We get an all right run out, but then what do you do when he just donks here? I mean, we call here. I hope not see a fold. I don't know how often we're going to be ahead. I'd say
I really dislike that the second guy's called.
I don't like it, but I swear to God, if you fold, I'll be upset because you're getting 6-1.
6-1.
You need to be right 1 in 7 times here, so you really can't make these folds. Yeah, just click the call button. Okay. All right. Well, I look like an idiot, and you look like a genius. So you kind of lost it. I don't like the river spot. I do not like the river spot. But yeah, I was kind of right in saying that, you know, he had like ace-x of hearts. I think that's a big portion of his range. On the river, his bet makes sense. Not in terms of actual logic, but in terms of fish logic. You know, this is what they'd sort of do with a weak ace. So yeah, I think you played it fine. I'm glad you called on the river. Glad you called on the river because, like I say, getting 6-1, you're just getting such an amazing prize. But yeah, I mean, you look like a legend, I guess. And I'm the idiot, so. Okay, 2-3, we're going off on one, are we? Assume this is a limp pot. I like the fold with the 8-4 suited here, by the way, versus a 3x. I'd be very guilty of making these calls, which I just don't think are profitable.
Check, we flop a
I'm okay, yeah. And then I'm probably just... The thing is, if you double here, there's definitely argument for tripling. 6 is kind of a bad river. Are we going for it?
It's got 3 high.
Okay. Do you know what?
It's not got king queen or has he?
I'll absolutely allow it. I really like the fact that you've tripled because, like I said earlier, if we're gonna, you know, keep our bluffs in check, what's the best hand to bluff with here? It's 2-3 offsuit. Not on the flop of the turn. I'd rather have 5-7 or 5-3. But this is one of the worst hands we're ever going to have here. Fire it.
I mean, my thinking here was like, we've got equity on 2, 3, 4, 6. We've got a gut shot.
Yeah.
We pick up equity on an ace. We can pick up a pair. But like, what? He's not got king queen. He's limped. The best thing he can really have here is like what, queen 10, queen jack, and he's gonna fold that.
I'm not so sure, just because obviously he's a fun player. So again, your logic, he's not going to be thinking the way you think. Again, I
overbet just in case he did fancy a little call with his queen jack.
Agreed, but I still think they might be calling that anyway. I'm not saying I dislike the bluff, by the way. I do actually like it. We should have overbets for value. So our value hands, the 6 is kind of annoying, but again, I don't think it's going to make a difference because he's not going to be thinking what your range is. But the 6 would block, I guess, only queen 4, as in, because you're probably not choosing a size with queen 4, but you can still have probably king 6, queen 6, and 6-4 here. But yeah, I do like this bluff, but just be careful in that I don't think fish are always going to fold like queen jack, queen 10, because, they're not going to think, as your logic's solid, but, they're not going to think as you said, sort of thing. Jack 9 suited, easy to defend, and flop a flush draw. What's the pink tag? This purpley one.
Aggro, just like an aggro.
Okay.
Usually an aggro reg, unless I've put in the notice that he's an aggro fish.
Right, Jack's is obviously going to be a squeeze. So I like the fact that you just call in on this board on the right. From a theory point of view, he just has a huge range advantage in that we have...
Yeah, if this was like 4, 7, 9, 2 diamonds, then I'd want to raise, but he's got so much ace and king X, right?
The good thing about him being aggressive as well is he's going to barrel these boards a lot, or should be. So when we do improve to a flush, he's gonna put more money in if he's quite aggressive, if he has certain bluffs and such. I think when we have on this flop, then what are you gonna be raising?
Pocket 7s mostly.
What about as bluffs?
Bluffs. I mean, I guess I could bluff some flush draws and some like ace 3 or something. That's not really a bluff, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a tough one because I feel like his range opening +1 is going to be like so ace and king Broadway heavy that there's not really much need for me to bluff when I've got equity.
I get you. But if we are raising, let's say, A7 suited and pocket 7s, then from a theory point of view, at least we should have some bluffs. I think that so when we do have bluffs, your best bluffs here are queen jack, queen 10. Jack 10 of diamonds. Not only that, when you have queen jack, for example, you block ace jack and ace queen, which is some of his strongest ace X. Obviously, I know he's got overpairs. I know he's got aces and kings and ace king as well, but we do still block some ace X hands. I also wouldn't mind a check raise every now and then with queen 10 of spades, queen jack of spades, when we have the backdoor flush draw. I do think, though, against a large bet, so he bet half pot on this flop, I do think against 3/4, because he can just go 3/4 with his range here, because he just has such a big range advantage in, the sets and stuff like that. So I think that I could just get away with just calling. So I'd be calling 7s a lot here as well. Probably not so much in these pools, but I think from a theory point of view, we want to be doing a lot of calling against bigger bets, but against, fun players, we don't really have to be as balanced. But I do like the fact you've called this anyway. We're going to squeeze with jacks. 13 big blinds seems about right. We turn a flush, and I think we're just going to check call here. That's what I'd be doing.
Check raise here, right?
Huh?
Check raise here? I think I'd consider a check raise here.
I probably wouldn't against this size.
Just because he can have aces, kings, queens, ace king, ace queen, 7s, 10 jack. Like he can have a lot of value here that's not going to fold just because I've check raised.
I get that. What bluffs? what are we check raise bluffing here?
Still what bluffs.
Like there's just none here, right? There are no check raise bluffs here. Like think about it. What can you check raise bluff?
Ace 10 off with the ace of diamonds.
No need to bluff it. You just not check raising that as a bluff.
The truth. Yeah, no, I can't think of any bluffs here.
And again, this is again just from a theory point of view. So, we should be balanced in when we check raise value. That we should be balanced. But again, against a lot of your average opponents at these stakes, it's not really going to matter that much to be that balanced, because they're just going to play their hand. They're not going to play range versus range and actually realize. They're just going to think, oh, I've got top set, I'm not folding. So I know it's kind of difficult because obviously I want to talk about theory, but then theory might just not be making the most money. Like GTO isn't going to be making the most money. One bad thing about raising here is that I'd also be raising bigger because we want to jam the river. And against his range, we can just get value. We can just put more money in and get more value, right? again, because we don't have any bluffs here, like, let's face it, we just pretty much don't have any bluffs here. We want to make this a raise size where we have a stack to pot ratio of 1 on the river, or about 1, so we can jam. Also, if he has 2 pairs with the ace of diamonds, which is very possible, he's never folding.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of my thinking when you make value hands at like, because it is still low stakes and the players still are pretty straightforward, is that I just don't slow play that much. Because say this guy has got like ace king, ace queen, king queen. If I check raise, he never folds. If I check call, he might hit it up and check the river.
Okay.
If it's, like say, an offsuit 10 rolls off or another diamond.
As long as you are recognizing, because you know when you move up and you're playing against regs, you're gonna have to be a bit more balanced in some respects. So yeah, I like to see this go a little bit bigger when you do check raise, but just to try and get more money in, and then we see a nice clean river. And I guess yeah, if we just go relatively big on this river, I wouldn't want to go too big just to scare off his 2 pairs. I don't even mind going something like half pot or something like that. Maybe go super small, try and get a bluff from the ace of diamonds, but you don't see that enough in these pools. So I think just going generally quite big is fine.
I guess I'm aiming more towards his sets here.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Maybe go a little bit smaller, but I think this is probably just generally going to be the best way to play against a lot of fun players. So I'd be calling versus the turn size and then check raising river, check jamming river, and then we can have bluffs such as, you know, ace 5 with the ace of diamonds or ace 10 with the ace of diamonds. So this is pretty tight. Ace jack suited, folding to a 3-bet.
Did I fold?
You did fold like an absolute nit.
Oh.
Middle position versus blinds, we are just pure calling ace jack suited here, along with ace 10 suited and a lot of these hands that play really well. We're even flatting ace king and a little bit of kings here from the ranges I have. I always say about this, you don't see 3-bets from the big blind versus these positions, even up to the cutoff, like particularly light. People just don't 3-bet what they should be 3-betting. So I think he's going to be very tight. The problem with folding ace jack in position, it's just a hand that plays really well. It's just really good.
Ace jack suited's pretty perfect for calling here, like ace jack suited and queen, ace queen suited.
And you know, when you said earlier 10 jack suited, you know, it's 40% to a royal, you know, it's a nice hand. This is a better hand. So why would be, you know, we're 3-betting 10 jack suited. And when we 3-bet under the gun +1, we can still get a 4-bet, right? We might not even see a flop, but we're still putting that amount of money in. But here, when you're in position, you're the last person to act. We can definitely see a flop by calling 7 big blinds, 7.5 big blinds, and you're folding. You know, which
I don't really know why I've done this, to be honest. I think usually that is a pretty easy call for me.
You know, you're hovering around here thinking that, you know, this player is possibly tight or whatever, which does seem like it. But again, 53 hands.
Sample. Yeah.
And the fact that we have a very playable hand in position. Right, okay, this is an interesting spot with the ace king suited. I definitely like going for a 3-bet with the queen 10 suited as well. In fact, he's got a... No, I'm probably his 3-bet getting it in. I don't even hate shoving queen 10 suited against 30 big blinds. It's kind of a weird one when we do 3-bet. I don't mind calling for that reason. Okay, so the ace king suited, I kind of hate it when he min clicks because I've noticed the min clicks to be either very weak or just aces. Like, so many times I've just fucking ran ace king into aces from specifically a min click. It's wild that fish...
It's like the opposite. I always thought it was very marginal.
You know, that's why you can't make these ridiculous assumptions, but I've just seen it a lot of the time when they've literally min clicked with aces, and it's like, I've still ended up paying them off. And then we go heads up, he gets out of the way. Anyway, what I think I'd like to do here with the ace king is check call. This is a 4-bet pot against obviously an idiot, given his min click and his peel. So I think I like check calling. I just don't think betting achieves anything. We don't get anything to fold, and I just want to see a turn here against a fun player. So I think in this specific instance, I'm going to check call, because we had the backdoor royal. If we had ace king of clubs here, I'm honestly happy just check folding. But I still think he has a lot of these. And obviously we've got overs against hands like 8s or 9s, but again, you know, I know I said you don't make assumptions, but these are the kind of guys that I don't want to barrel as bluffs too often, right? Like in a 4-bet pot when he's min clicked and then called, he's probably stationing anyway. So he's probably going to call down a couple of streets with 8s or 9s anyway. So I think that I'd like to just check call, because I'd like to see a turn, see if we pick up any equity. Ace king's still the best hand, right? If we check, maybe he bets one street or something with like Jack 10 or like ace 9 of clubs or something random. And honestly, versus the min click, I'm probably just folding. I'm probably just getting it in on the right.
Getting 7-1 with a backdoor
But
two
like,
overs.
but you're just dead sometimes. So, okay, so this is why I'd like to check call, because I want to avoid spots like this. So I think check call in here is best in this specific instance. We can basically deviate from theory, and see betting and stuff, because this guy's clearly an idiot. On this table on the right with the queen 10, I think we just want to put him in now. I really don't like calling because, let's say he just has... I get that you probably want to keep his bluffs in and stuff, and when we shove, we don't really get anything worse to call, but for the times he has a flush draw and such, we just want to get that in on the turn. What are you doing on this river now?
Never folding, giving the odds.
So bang it in on the turn. Now, obviously, we just check back, but just bang it in on the turn, because if we're still calling on this anyway, and he's gonna, all of his like flush draws and such are gonna get there, we might as well just put him in and get his flush draw, because then we get it in ahead on the turn effectively. And then we're just checking the ace king down, and I'd be very interested to see what he got.
Oh, Chris, don't put don't
Would be very interested to see what he's got all in. Okay, so
call me with tens, isn't he?
I don't know if you're gonna bluff, but you instantly say that you don't like the bluff, right?
There's so much showdown value here that we just don't need to, right?
I wouldn't say we have that much, but we chop against other ace-x. He can have some random 7x, but it's more a case of, honestly, what do we get to fold? Like,
I agree.
What are you trying to target?
If he's a bad player, which we think he is, he's probably min-clicking 8s plus.
And do you think he's folding?
Never folding that when I can have so much ace high.
Okay, we check. And then I just fold in this ace-king here. He could have bluffs.
Calling for a chop. Just calling for a chop.
Pretty much, unless he has like 6s specifically. All right.
Oh!
Don't suck yourself off. It's a terrible call. Right.
I hate the call.
Obviously, he just clicks buttons. Ace king. Well, it doesn't make sense how he plays, but so the reason why I don't like calling here is we just have better hands. We can have hands like 10s and jacks, which would probably take the same line with. Maybe aces and kings that we check with. I'm probably checking a lot of those hands. I might even check a queen as well. So you even said there that you're calling for a chop, right? You didn't expect him to have any worse hands.
We've got a win. I just hate it as a bluff catcher, and I feel like this is a spot where people with ace high lose their shit.
But again, so this is, being results orientated, that we call down and we don't even win. That's the thing, we chop. So if you're calling for a chop, it's dumb because we're calling 61 big blinds to win half of the pot here. So we're not getting 60 into 140. We're not getting over 2-1. We're getting 60 into like 70 because it's so hard for him to have an actual bluff. King 10 suited 3-bet. Let's have a look at the ranges for... Right, so 3-betting here is absolutely standard. It's 3-betting, King 10 suited 100%. Sizing fine. I'd probably just go 8 big blinds here with range. 9 is... Like 3x in position, somewhere around there is definitely fine. Seeing ace high flop, we block some ace-x hands. I do like betting pretty much my range on these boards and just going for quite a small size here. We have, more ace-x than he does. I might even go a bit smaller than this, to be honest. So I'm okay going for the flop c-bet. The turn's a fun one. This would be a fun hand to triple barrel, but I'm just not doing it. He's got 6-7 suited, although so do we, or we can have at some frequency. He's going to have a lot of draws here, though, that just aren't going to fold. Like, we don't block anything good. We block, like, ace-10 of diamonds. That's about it. Other than that, he still has 8s. He has 6-7 suited. He's going to have a lot of, like, ace-queen of hearts, ace-queen of hearts, maybe some, king-queen of spades, stuff like that. Like, I don't know if I want to bluff this. I think I'm just going to check. I want to see what happens on a river, though.
I tied with him. He just loves... yeah, just checking it back.
Okay, so, I mean, I get your double barrel. What are we triple barreling? Are we going to triple barrel any rivers with this hand? If so, what kind of rivers would you be firing?
That is a good question. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure here. I feel like if he calls twice... I mean, I guess he could have a lot of flush draws and straight draws and stuff, but if he calls twice in a 3-bet pot on an ace-high board, probably just got a lot of ace-x.
I don't expect him to have ace-king a lot often, but, I know he does in this circumstance. My favourite, like, let's say this river was the 2 of clubs and a total brick. A bluff that I think would work well as a triple barrel bluff would be something like Queen Jack of diamonds, because we'd block ace jack and ace queen suited and we unblock all the draws. So this hand is good in a way because we'd unblock draws, right? So we can have a lot of, even on the flop versus a small size, you could maybe still have a hand like king queen of hearts, that floats flop. He's going to have a lot of spades and stuff, king, queen of spades. This hand doesn't block any of those, so if this was a total brick, I wouldn't hate triple barreling. From a theory point of view, it makes an okay bluff. From an exploitative point of view, two flush draws missed, they just never fold, which I always talk about, so I don't hate just giving up. I don't really like the turn barrel, though, to be honest. The thing is, with this river, it's kind of interesting because it just brings in a lot of shit. So we could maybe get some ace-x hands to fold. I'm trying to work out what I'd like to bluff on this river because we should be having bluffs and it's kind of a good one to bluff. Maybe just king-queen with a spade if we had king-queen off and, the king of spades that we randomly barreled the turn with. Yeah, I could get behind. So, on this river, if I bet the turn with, let's say, king-queen, king of hearts, king of spades, queen of hearts, I might be planning on, tripling on a spade or a heart, because then we'd block some flushes and such. So maybe we could bluff that hand. I think your decision to check here is fine, but I just,
this is the worst card in the deck. 6 of spades.
You say that, but against some of his range, it's one of the best. Because when he has hands like that, he's put in a spot that's 4 to a straight and, 3 to a flush.
I guess that's the same sort of logic as earlier, right, on that jack-8 hand. When you were saying that completed draws can sometimes be better to bluff because it's a harder spot for him to call in.
Yeah, and the fact that...
I overbet jammed here, he's going to be in a pretty tough spot with king, no spade. I mean, he's probably just folding calling because he's got top pair, but
yeah, possibly. Sorry, I've completely not paid attention to this hand. So we 3-bet ace king on the right, go for a large c-bet. Why is that?
I mean, like top pair, top kicker, want to get value, but also block the hands that can call us here.
I think it's okay. These boards are really good for us. We have kings, aces, ace, king, jacks. You should be 4-betting some of those. So we do have an advantage on this board. I think going big is okay here. But we're going to have some hands that might want to just bet smaller, maybe queens, tens or something. So I'd probably mix between... I might do some checking, and then I'm just going to pick probably large sizes with this kind of hand. And definitely pocket jacks works well as a large size bet because we unblock the top pair. Turn, interesting to see what you're going to do here. Go for a large bet. Right. I'm okay with betting this turn. He does seem like a fun player again with his stats. But like with a large bet, what are we targeting? Like what are you trying to get to call?
If he's got like I guess it's a fun player, so you can have some like ace jack with the ace of spades. You can have some 9-10, although that's gonna be suited a lot of the time. Queen with the queen of spades, maybe?
Again, but you're reaching here, do you see what I mean? I don't hate betting. But because we are, compared to his range, we're so strong in the way that we're either going to be crushing him on this turn, or we're going to be crushed a lot, right? So he's going to have like flushes, some king jack, some jacks when we beat, pocket 8. But then when we're ahead of him, he's going to have what, king queen off, or like king queen with a spade at best, but like, a lot of king queen suited, maybe like, jack queen suited. So if we're betting this turn, bet smaller. I'd go less than half pot here. And it sucks because, yeah, you might get raised and, you're going to be in a tough spot. But I don't think the size makes any sense. And again, we talked about in the last video, picking sizes. So when you bet this on the turn, if he calls, the pot's going to be 90 big blinds by the river. And then the SPR is going to be really small, right? We don't need to bet this size when we have very solid hands because we can get the money in anyway. What are you doing versus a shove versus this size? I assume you're calling.
Oh, I hate it, but yeah, I got to call.
And yeah, I just think you're going to be in very bad shape when that happens. So we want to bet smaller, I think, to keep a lot of worse hands in. Why are we not checking here? Like, what's the issue with checking?
I feel like my issue with checking is facing big bets on the river. I was maybe just trying to avoid that.
Again, this is what I talked about where people don't like to be put in spots. So they do things like bet large here so they avoid those spots. But like, that's not going to make you the most money. You're going to be put in uncomfortable spots. Think about it, let's say he has the nut flush and we bet and call off, we just lose the stack. Whereas if we check back and then we call a bet, you just don't like the idea of being put in that spot where you have to call a large bet. But there's not really much we have to protect from, that's the thing. If we had a different combo of ace king, I could maybe, get behind betting. If you had the ace of spades, it's more of a bet because we want to put more money in with the nut flush draw, i.e. we're never dead. Whereas we could be dead here, ace queen, ace 10 of spades, ace 5 of spades, stuff like that. I think that we can check here because we don't have anything to protect from. Let's say he has ace jack with the ace of spades. He's never folding the turn anyway, right? So it's not like we have to protect from that hand. So I think that checking back on this turn is definitely fine. And if we do want to bet, I think that this size is well too big. Okay, king 3 suited. We are going for a check raise. I like it. It's a bit loose. I prefer, again, so, you know, having something like 5-6 suited, I think works well. 5-6
Do you
of...
like that we block king queen though?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I like it for that reason. I think it's okay. Probably, you know, I think players are generally over c-betting here. Only a small amount of hands, but if you look how tight he is, not playing many hands, but then c-betting quite a lot. So I think he's just going to c-bet this with probably his range. I think check raising here makes... I think it's okay. And again, this is your ridiculous aggression that you've really amped up your aggression, but at least you're not doing this with, you know, some random nonsense. We looked at one hand last time where you had 6-7, but you had the wrong combo. Do you remember? And you didn't have the backdoor flush draw. If you had king 3 of diamonds here, I'd be fuming. I'd be so pissed off. I also will say though that I think a much better hand is king 10 of spades, king 9 of spades, because we have the backdoor straight draw there. So, or if this was, you know, queen 4-5 with one spade, we have the backdoor flush draw with the backdoor straight draw. Sorry, with the 3. So I think that king 9, king 10, king jack suited with 3 betting always. I think king jack of spades, but king 9 suited, king 10 suited just work a little bit better here. Same with jack 9 suited and stuff like that. So I think it's loose. Exploitatively, it's probably fine.
You guys c-betting a lot. We want to raise him a lot. So I don't ever want to... I mean, I guess maybe we could check call a little bit here, but check call seems pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate a check call. King I's bets sometimes. We're going to want to check call sometimes with Queen X and shit, but I think, I think it's fine. Interesting to see what you want to do on this turn.
Probably betting again this turn, like the jack, again, is reducing the combos of queens that you can have.
I get that.
King, queen, jack, queen.
So what are we trying to target here with this bet?
I want to get rid of some, like, 10s, 9s, 8s, 7s, any shit like that that's bet and floated.
Okay. But this is why king 9 and king 10 make such better bluffs, because we can just barrel this on the turn.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I would have much preferred to see the jack of spades.
Obviously. But that's what I mean. I think that, so when we do have these better bluffs, like I say, when we're picking bluffs on the flop, we want our best bluffs. And I think that king 10 and king 9 are just way better bluffs than king 3, because we just have a lot more cards that aren't spades. You know, with this hand, we only really have a spade that we can continue on where we pick up more equity. So again, you know, it's pretty loose, this bluff. I'm definitely okay with it on the turn. The problem is, you know, you're saying he's going to have ace 10s or whatever. The jack will improve him sometimes in that he can have, you know, ace jack suited, 10 jack suited that, you know, might float or something like that. But again, this kind of aggression, I think, is going to work at these stakes. So I think exploitatively it's fine. But just be careful that we're not just over bluffing. So I don't hate just giving up on this turn. I do like your logic in that it does block some of the queen X hands now. We block king queen, the jack reduces the combos of queen jack. I think that is solid logic. I think it's okay. I think it's a bit over the top aggressive. I really want to see what you do on this river.
Just giving up.
For what reason are we giving up? Are we just assuming he always has queen X?
Like, he's called twice versus quite a lot of aggression, and the ace is going to be better for him than it is for me, I'd assume.
But for what reason? Like, what ace X do you think he has here?
He still could have floated with like ace 10, ace jack, ace queen, ace king. I know like the board in my hand blocks a lot of that, but he's called twice versus a check raise and a large turn barrel. I don't think he's got a lot of hands that he's then going to fold on the river.
I think I agree with this hand in that, you know, it is you know, there's going to be less queen X now, you know, ace queen, queen jack, king queen are all blocked to some extent, and we block king 10 as well, like king 10 of spades. I wouldn't expect him to check back a lot on this river here, and when he does, I'd expect to see a hand like ace jack of spades, ace jack of clubs, because you can't really get value from them. Yeah, I'm expecting to see that shove a lot. So I do think, even though we're quite low down in our range, I guess we could have 9-10 suited. You know, if we had 9-10 of spades, we'd block queen 9 of spades, queen 10, and we'd be at the pretty much lowest point of our range, right? We'd have 10 high. And we'd also block king 10. So I think 9-10 of spades would be our best bluff here. But I don't even think it'd be working that much, because I think he's just always going to have it. So I think I like your... I don't mind your flop check raise. I think I'd just be giving up on the turn. But I like that you didn't barrel that river, because I feel as though you were just getting called. So going for a bet on the right hand side, I've seen you check raise this board a reasonable amount with this kind of hand, you know, with backdoors. So, yeah, I wouldn't mind a check raise there, but, and you know, just continue on turns where you pick up equity, a 6, a 7, a jack, a club, stuff like that. So 9-10, we 3-bet, go for a bet on the flop. This turn's kind of sketch, like for our range here, that I definitely want to just slow down a bit. I don't mind checking 9-10 here, to be honest. I'm going to want a lot of checks on here, like aces and stuff. But again, top 2 pair, loads of stuff we can get called by that's worse.
I feel like I can maybe go bigger.
I think going big is okay. So this is a card that I would bluff on every time when I'm bluffing. If I have king queen suited, or pocket sevens that I'm randomly doubling, I'm just gonna definitely turn that into a bluff.
Agree.
He's got a lot of value here though. I think he's got some straights. He's definitely got some 2 pairs with that ace. I wish the ace of diamonds and the ace of hearts would be better. Then he'd have less combos of ace 10 suited. I think ace jack of spades, ace queen of spades, definitely possible hands. Ace 7 of spades. I think there's a lot you can get called by, and I also don't mind check calling. He can have hands like king queen of spades that might want to bluff. He can also have maybe sevens that turn his hand into a bluff, although I don't expect to see that a lot. So I think we can go either way, but I think betting's fine. I think check calling's fine. What are you doing versus a shove?
Hating my life, first and foremost. I think I could find a fold if he shoved here, to be honest.
I think so, yeah, against your general pool. I just think that no one's going to bluff. Like, what's he going to bluff? Is he going to have king jack and just fire it in? Like king jack of clubs maybe or something? I would say so. I don't like this with the 8-9 suited. We've bet the flop. Oh, he raised. What did you call this? It's just a bit loose. Just get. I know we've got the back doors. The difference with this is we're out of position. You need to remember that being out of position, you don't get to realize your equity as much. So you just can't call as wide at all. Yeah, this is shit. I wouldn't have hated the check raise because you've taken the initiative yourself. So you've got the initiative on the turn, so you can start barreling. Like, the thing is, when you turn, like, even when you turn the gin card, like, something like the 6 of clubs, jack of clubs, we're out of position still. We're checking, he might check back. We might just check call on an offsuit 7 and, just end up on the river with 8 high. So this is just shit. And then, are you going to call this turn? We're just dead sometimes. It needs to be an offsuit jack or an offsuit 6, and we still might have the worst hand. So we have 6 outs on the river, 6 clean outs on the river that aren't even clean because there's already 3 spades here. Exactly. And then we check and he's going to check back non-flushes, and he might bet a set and then, like, good luck to him. But then we're check calling, praying he doesn't already have a flush. You idiot, Chris. This is shit. I've wanted to insult you all fucking night and I've not had a chance, but now I finally do. And now look, again, so this is why the flop float is relatively bad, because even if this was an offsuit 7, even if this is 7 of diamonds, we can hit pretty much any 6 or jack, we still end up a lot of the time, as Dean Eggs would put it, with our dick in our hand, just on the river with 8 high. Like, absolutely butchered this one. I know it's only a small raise on the flop, and we do have the back doors, but that's why I think a check raise would have, been better. And you did say that yourself. So yeah, I really don't like the way he played that hand. So, and yeah, he's got a set of deuces and checks. Again, that's what I mean. Just like a small raise just can be nutted. Just raises real small on the flop, and he's absolutely nutted. Well, that's the only time I've been able to have a go at him for doing something punty. Cause
got to get out your system, haven't you?
Exactly, because you played relatively well up until that point. A few minor mistakes, but this one I think was just, a bit of a punt. Anyway, the 9-10 suited looks like he's put in some sort of spot here. Be interesting to see if he calls and what he calls with. He folds. So yeah, I think I probably prefer check call in this river, just because he can still bet some ace-x and he can bet all his bluffs. And we also, it's not that strong in terms of absolute hand strength in that he still has 6-7, he still has maybe 4s, 8s, ace-10 suited. There's still a lot of hands that we're beat by here. So, and we don't mind him bluffing with, like, king-jack, king-queen of spades, stuff like that. So I wouldn't hate to see a check call, but nice flop.
Yeah, what the fuck do we do on this flop? Like, how are we getting the money here? Theory-wise,
definitely check call him. Exploitative-wise, check raise or bet is absolutely fine. I think I still want to use the small bets when we are betting this flop. So I still think going, less than a third. Honestly, here I'm just check raising. The reason being, versus that size, he might have some flushes that we really want to get it in against. He might have some straights and he might have some sets, and we want to put as much money in as we can. The thing is, if he's got like a random bluff, let's just say king jack with the jack of spades, he's not going to be putting that much money in anyway. Having the ace of spades means we block a lot of his most obvious bluffs. So, for that reason, I'd just rather just try and get as much money in as we can and just hope we're against the worst flush or a set or a straight or something like that. I literally think that...
Yeah, like having the nut flush makes me. So say I had like 8, 9 of spades here, I'd check raise this and barrel all day because it's more protection, and you can still have like ace of spades that wants to bluff and call and that sort of thing.
I get your point, but I think you're the wrong way round. That you want to raise a6 of spades and just call 8, 9 of spades. 8, 9 of spades needs more protection. Agreed, but like, what are you protecting from? Like, he's not going to fold the ace of spades. Yeah, we get value from it, so you can go either way with it. So 8, 9 of spades, for example, you can get value from, let's say, the king of spades or the ace of spades, but also he's going to have bigger flushes. A6 of spades, yeah, we're not going to get value from the ace of spades, maybe from the king of spades, but he's also going to have all of those worse flushes. And we really want to put money on this flop before it gets worse. If this comes another spade, if this pairs the board, it's terrible when he has a flush. So I think that in that respect, I know solvers they'll trap with some flushes, and those flushes are going to be more the smaller flushes because it works in a way as pot control and allows them to bluff off more kind of things. Does that make sense?
No, I get that.
So I understand what you're saying, that, you know, the 8-9 suited needs protection and stuff like that. And this, we can just check call it. The good thing about having a hand so strong here is that there's not really a terrible way to play it as long as we're not folding. Like, we can do lots of stuff here. Yeah. But I just think at these stakes against fun players, check raising and just pray they have another flush. So yeah, check. And the ace is a really weird one here because we have the ace ourselves. Maybe he's going to want to bluff, but he can just pick up showdown with the queen. So I don't think I like checking this river. I think I'd probably just go for a small bet. But this is the problem. Maybe when we check raise, you know, we just get the pot so much bigger. Look at the stack to pot ratio now is like, what, 8? So it's well hard to get the money in, whereas when we check raise, it'll be a lot smaller on the turn sort of thing. And we can also continue the aggression on the turn and bet the turn. And our natural bluffs can just be something like, you know, ace on the flop, ace queen with the ace of spades, and then we can check call that on the turn and stuff. Yeah, I think, I definitely think... is that the old induction bet, trying to induce?
I think I was trying to be like, come on, mate.
It's basically the same as a check. I'm okay doing that, though. I like doing that. It's kind of a fun, exploitable thing to do. Right, so these are just some hands that I wanted to go over. So I got Chris to send me his last 5k hands or so, because there was a lot of losing. It was a line straight down, and I just wanted to know if he was making loads of mistakes on it.
Big fat downswing.
Yeah, it was pretty dirty, and I just thought maybe you were just punting, but so I just wanted to go over some of them. These are the ones that I wanted to go through. So we 3-bet here to, so this is 8 big blinds, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that. 4x out position.
Yeah, okay, it's okay. I might go just 1 big blind bigger, but don't mind the sizing on the flop. We can maybe go bigger. He's not playing a full stack though. I'm fine going kind of half pot. The turn, check, and the river. I do like the fact that you're betting this river. I just wouldn't go this size. We could also check as well. I really don't like the overbet because we're probably betting a lot of flush draws on the turn and we don't block any flushes. So I don't think we need to overbet here.
Like if I bet 70%, he could maybe find a call with 10 strikes queens.
Like, I think that 70% in an overbet, I just don't think that there's going to be that much difference. And the fact is you can still have boats and 4x and maybe some backdoor flushes, 6, 7 of... We don't block any of those hands, so I just don't think it makes sense as an overbet. I think that if we bet this, we can just go just bigger than half pot. Like, are you even going to bet ace-king as an overbet here? Like, let's say you got ace-king of diamonds.
Yeah, probably not, to be fair.
Like, you know, and again, we can just be more exploitative. Like, we don't have to necessarily balance all that much at these stakes against a lot of the fish. But I just think, you know, you just never, like, overbetting here. Like, with maybe kings, but even then, like, you know, probably betting smaller because you just lock up the... But anyway, he shoves and absolutely punish you, so you don't even get to see what he's got. I would imagine pocket 7s or pocket 9s, just with this line. Or like the nut flush. But this is the thing, we don't block any strong hands. So I don't mind the bet on the river, in terms that you've bet the line on the river. But just don't overbet. We open ace-queen. This one I thought was a bit punty. Checking the flop, I don't mind 3-way. I'm just folding here. What do you expect him to raise with here?
Could just have like some king of hearts sort of hands.
And what else? What else is his bluffs other than the king of hearts?
4, 5.
Good luck. Good luck finding somebody that's bluffing 4, 5 here. Do you know what I mean?
It's going to be like single heart bluffs, right?
Agreed, and it's going to be like king jack with the king of hearts. That's it. And look at his value. 7, 8 of hearts, 8, 9 of hearts, 9, 10 of hearts, Queen, Jack of hearts, King, Queen of hearts, King, 8 of hearts, King, 7 of hearts, pocket 3s, pocket 6s, A6 suited. So many hands he can have that just absolutely crush you. And even if he doesn't, why can't he? Why can't he have 6s or 3s or a flush? See what I mean?
Yeah, true.
And we don't block any of it. Just get rid. I know it sucks. It feels nitty, like top pair, second kicker. Get rid of it. And because we're going to be balanced, or we should be balanced, we can check some flushes here and then just call. So we cold call anyway, and then the turn he overbet jams. And I'm just folding here. Again, he's going to have...
Again, like, it's a fish at 25 zoom and he's overbet.
Exactly. He's going to have the King of Hearts sometimes, possibly. King Jack with the King of Hearts. King Queen with the King of Hearts. Why can't he have A6 suited? A3 suited? Pocket 3s, pocket 6s? A low flush? The thing is, when we call here and he has value, we are dead. Like, dead. Maybe we can hit a Queen or an 8. Against everything else, we have 0%. So, this is a punt. Especially three-way.
Something I say in my head quite a bit as well is after... like a fish at 25 zoom is overbet. I'm just like, for a bluff. They do not overbet as bluffs.
Exactly.
It is never ever a bluff.
Exactly. So, just, yeah, absolute punt. I know it's not, you know, a full stack either, but it's still going to cost you when you're making these kind of mistakes. And I know it sucks to fold top pair, second kicker on the flop, but three-way, it's just got to be done. So just be careful when you go multi-way. I think multi-way pots, you've struggled at a bit. Small blind opens, we 3-bet, he 4-bets. I'm very okay with calling. Again, exploitatively, you might be able to find a fold because you don't see enough players 4-bet bluff, but ace-jack suited in position, just good enough to call with. 9-8-3, all clubs. He bets. We have an easy fold. What?
I can imagine my thinking here was like, definitely behind. I can't ever call. I'm just going to jam and hope that he doesn't have a club and folds.
What on earth are you doing? Just this whole fucking hand. At least we check the turn. Because he's just not folding. Honestly, it's just so bad. I don't think we should have a single raise here, by the way, on this flop when the SPR is small. When we call, it's gonna be a pot size bet on the turn. I don't think we should have a single raise here.
It's now it's quite a good demonstration of it's not just a fat downswing. It is some absolute punts in this massive losing sample.
Yeah, I just think that it's not like we have to worry about overfolding on this board. We can have flop flushes, we can have nines, we can have aces, we can have queens, we can have a lot of hands here that just, you know, easy getting. We just gotta fucking get rid of this. Right, queen jack suited, we open, go three-way, half pot, I'm okay with it. Turn, I'm okay either or here.
Have turn bluffs, you can have 10 jack, you can have spades.
No. Do you want to know why no? Min raise. Fucking value every time. No way in hell. The river's kind of annoying actually because we block a lot of the hands that you can have, right? So there's only one combo of queen nine, should only be queen nine suited. There's now only one combo of nines. It's the min click on the turn that's just always value in this spot. I think I like checking this turn by the way because it gets kind of thin. And you're saying bluffs 10 jack, we block it. Spades, just not raising to that size. This is just...
I guess my river thinking here is things he check raises that I don't bluff is literally just 3 combos of 5 because I block queen 9 and then 9 rolls off, so he can only have 1 combo of 9s. So it's is he check raising queen king or something like that?
But do you know what? If you had ace queen here, I can understand it, and maybe he's just going off on one with king queen or ace queen or something. If he's raising some flush draws on the turn as well, he can have 9x of spades here, which would actually make a reasonable check raise because of his equity so high. So, yeah, just... The reason I want to highlight this hand, I saw a few hands, you know, I said to you before, where you just run into sets and it's just obviously a set. I'm not saying we should necessarily fold everything because he's obviously got a set, but you'll see this kind of line a lot. Look how strong his line is. Check call flop 3-way with a player left to act. Check min raise the turn out of position. And then, you know, 3/4 on the river.
Yeah, I think it is literally just that I came to the conclusion if I lose to 3 combos of 5.
I get that.
But if it's just probably 3 combos of 5s I'm losing to, raising any flush draws or 10 jack on the turn probably makes.
I get you, but I just think it just looks so nutted here that I just think that we can find a fold at some point. I want to get through these relatively quickly. This one was fucking very weird.
Yeah, I remember this. It's great.
So I don't know what he's doing. This is kind of a weird spot where this actually sucks. I'm not happy here. What I don't like what you do
horrible.
here. I don't like you calling because our hand's not strong enough to call and we're never folding versus a shove anyway. So because there's so much different like dynamics on the turn, I think shoving bottom two here is the best play. You get so lucky here that you call.
Oh, I see what you mean. You don't like that I didn't shove.
Yeah, I don't like that you didn't shove. You got so lucky here. In the turn is just amazing for you. Think about how many bad turn cards there are here. Like when you just give him I mean, he should be folding a lot anyway. But like, you know, a 7, a 4, a 9, a diamond, an 8. Just so many just trash turns. You managed to drill just the best one. Which obviously I think checking makes sense. And then he fucking drills the flush anyway. And this goon's got king 8R. So we win a 300 big blind pot, which is pretty fucking nice. But I think that we should just be... And I'm not even thrilled with this, but I think we should be reshoving here because we need to protect this hand. Right, so that is everything covered. So let me think about what... I can't really remember what we've got to talk about in just, you know, keeping focus and not punting in certain spots. Because I think that you know when you are making mistakes and I think you know better. So there's not been a hand where you've punted and you've just gone, why is that a punt? Do you know what I mean? You've known when you've made mistakes. So it's just a case of correcting those errors where, you know, you have made a mistake and you know better. So there's no doubt in my mind you're going to win as long as you stay focused in 25 Zoo.